first of all, that a softball is yellow and a baseball is white, and a softball is also bigger than a baseball.
In baseball, you have a bat and it gets bigger in circumference as you go down the barrel. And in softball, it's pretty much the same circumference around the whole bat.
Softball players typically like to wear the mask, as the baseball players do not wear the masks.
As softball coaches, during the games, we can kind of wear whatever we want. In baseball, coaches wear uniforms with numbers. Softball's underhand, and they pitch from 43 feet, where baseball is overhand, and they pitch from about 60 feet.
A softball mound is actually not a mound, it's a flat surface with a pitching rubber, while a baseball mound is an actual mound up on a hill.
The underhand pitching motion for softball is a natural motion on the shoulder. So while if you pitch a lot, you will get sore, it's nowhere like baseball where you're limited to X amount of pitches. I played baseball till I was 11, and when I had to switch over from baseball to softball, it took me about a year adjustment to figure out how to actually hit, because the trajectory of the balls were just so different. The ball coming down versus the ball going up, it's a big difference that takes a lot of adjustment.
In softball, we are able to re-enter any starter that gets pulled from a game.
You can sub in once and come back in, but you can't do it twice. You can only do it once.
There are more doubleheaders in softball because softball pitchers can throw longer in back-to-back games, and the time of a softball game is much shorter than it is of the time of a baseball game.
The roster sizes between baseball and softball are a little bit different. Baseball needs to carry a lot more pitchers than softball because they can't pitch as often or as long as softball pitchers can.
The baseball and softball rules for leading off on the bases are a little bit different. In baseball, you can come off the bag a few steps to get your lead, and in softball, this isn't a thing.
In baseball, there's a lot more pickoffs because the base runners lead off the base before the pitch is thrown.
So in softball, you have to keep your feet on the base until the pitcher releases the ball. And once the pitcher releases the ball, that's when you can come off the base.
A typical softball field is 200 down the line and 220 to center, whereas a baseball field is 330 down the line to 400 to center field. And the baseball fields vary a lot more than softball fields do.
The distances between home and first for softball would be 60 feet. Rather than baseball, home to first would be 90 feet. So the base runners would score more in softball than they would in baseball because of the base paths and how much shorter they are, and the base runner would be more likely to steal a bag.
Slapping is a big aspect of softball that you don't see in baseball. Slapping is where the batter's on the left-hand side of the batter's box and they kind of run through the ball.
Their objective is to either lay down a bunt or run out a ground ball to use their speed to get on base. And once they get on base, it is easier for them to steal and catch the defense off guard.
An infielder needs to make a play in under 3 seconds in softball, where in baseball, it's under 4 seconds.
In baseball and softball, there is a different pitching strategy. In softball, you can pitch a full 7-inning game with really no problem. If the softball pitchers are doing well, you usually leave them in for full games, and that's really not that big of a deal. In baseball, it's pretty rare for a pitcher to go all 9 innings. They usually have a reliever or saver come in the middle of the game.
Softball has 7 innings rather than baseball has 9, and softball games tend to be quicker than baseball games because of that.
Softball has the international tiebreaker rule where in extra innings a runner is placed on second base to start the inning in order to increase the scoring opportunities.
In softball, the run rule is if you're up by 8 after the 5th inning, then the game is called, but in baseball, you do not have any run limit.
In softball and baseball, because of the difference in the mound, the reaction time can be the same while the pitching speeds are different.
The baseball rubber is at 60 feet and the softball rubber is at 43 feet.
Although softball pitchers don't throw as hard as baseball pitchers, their reaction time is pretty much the same because of the distance.
A softball pitch coming at you at 55 miles an hour would be equivalent to 79 miles an hour in baseball. And then on the other hand, if we have our beloved Valerie Cagle on the mound and she's throwing 70 plus at you, that's equivalent to 101 miles per hour in baseball.